All right, peace, everybody, and we are live. I'm super excited to be here with not just at Culture Shifters Unite, we don't just have sponsors, we have culture keepers. We have people who sow into our organization so that we can sow into our community. And I've been saying this recently, and this feels truer to me. I don't just have a business, I have an ecosystem. So there are multiple ways in which one can work with me, but when you work with me, there are layers to that work that then go back into giving. And that's super important to me to not just give for the sake of giving, because I believe women, and especially BIPOC women, give and almost maybe to their detriment. However, my giving and the way I see it, especially where we are right now with a renegade leadership in the United States, um, dismantling all of the care and compassion and the services like affordable childcare and a livable wage and um, support systems like Social Security, all of those things. How do then we divest from the tyrannical power infrastructure and be able to take care of ourselves, our loved ones, our children, those things that are fragile and necessary, our elders, elder care, right? And I know, we've said this before and I'll say it again. When women are well resourced, when we have women in business, the philanthropic angle or the philanthropic giving is exponential. It just is. Women give, whether it's a tax write off or not, whether there is publicity for it or not,
Mhm.
women give. And so I am so delighted to be joined here with Melisa, who is not only a giver, but she is a visionary, she is an amplifier, and she is a disruptor. And in many of our in offline, I would say offline communications, she has gone through her own alchemy and deconstructing of what we're seeing play out on the major stage, the US stage of Christian nationalism. It's a toxicity, sadly, that has been co opted, taking God and weaponizing it, taking the sacred and making it profane. And it has permeated us for centuries. So now it's not just the waters that it's the water itself.
Mhm.
However, through Melissa's work as a publisher, and you may say, Ber-Henda, like, how is publishing going to disrupt and bring harmony back to our world? Well, I'm going to say it's going to do that because publishing, being a narrator of your own stories, being an alchemist and healer in your own life, helps you to reimagine your internal so that you can outpicture your external world and create a new timeline, create a new reality. And Melissa is doing just that. She is a 7-time international and USA Today best-selling author. She founded Hope, capital HOPE, to help diverse leaders and visionaries share their insights through storytelling. An intimacy expert and book publisher, she blends spiritual and practical aspects of life and work. Outside her professional life, she enjoys time with her husband, 4 kids in northern Nevada, hubby ranch, communing with the bees. And we know Erica Badu told us that save the bees. The bees help with our planet, they help with pollination, they help with purification. So every animal, everything that exists for a purpose and exists for a reason, or it would not exist. So with no further ado, I want to present to some and introduce to others Melisa Keenan, who is uh, an ally, a sacred storyteller, an intimacy expert, marketing specialist. These are what she does. But most of all, she's a daughter of the universe, cosmic child who is weaving storytelling, alchemy, and healing on our planet. And she is desiring deeply to use the Heart Open Publishing enterprise to help others to do the same. So, Melisa, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. And it's been such a beautiful experience getting to partner with you and the different ways that our businesses intersect. It's really cool.
It is really cool. So, we're just going to jump right into it. You have uh, visioned an anthology where you're summoning the voices of the feminine to join you. So, if you could maybe center for us the importance, but also walk us through the divine download you got to do it and to do it in such a time as this.
Well, every publication that we do, I didn't realize this until I started to see the pattern, but it's this space where truth and rebellion intersect.
Mm.
That's basically my playground. Yeah. And I look at how many different ways people are doing that today, how many opportunities that we have in our various capacities to be able to say, no, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be like this because this is what my soul says. This is what my heart says. And so giving people an opportunity to share that, it's so inspiring because like you said, we could read how to's and we can take coaching and but what we've lost, I think, is this natural alchemy that happens. It's like we receive somebody's codes when they share their story authentically, when they share with their most raw emotion. And so I seek to create that. And so this year we actually are we've got two different publications going, and we've got a third in coming, and they all are in this intersection of truth and rebellion. Modern Day High Priestess, I think, is the one that you were like, oh yeah, like that's the one where most of your community would be most interested in hearing about it. We do have others, but Modern Day High Priestess was really neat. The book partner, so we do a partnership program where we also give people the opportunity, if they have a community, to lead a group book. So Jennifer Seifert came to me and said, I know that there are 25 individuals out there with a story who are on this edge of, they know they're a priestess, but it's a little bit scary to say it out loud. And she's like, I want to give them a platform to declare it out loud without apology, and to go through whatever that process looks like to be able to say yes and then become a best-selling author in the process. and and it's so important. And what's interesting is, as the book has evolved, and as these books are they become like my sacred guides. They talk to me, they tell me when stuff is out of line. And and both of the books that we've run this year have been like that for me. Like, wait a minute though, because I used to be Christian, and I used to be Mormon. It's been just 2 years since I've been away. And I felt these books saying to me, like, you're going to make a book about priestesses and it's going to be full of white women. Like, really? And it was a big wake up call. It was a big wake up call for me. And as a business owner, I did not create diverse spaces. I did not do that confrontation with white privilege, and I did not understand, or it was all invisible to me until I left the Mormon church and was started finally being like, oh wait, like, if I'm not focused on only the afterlife for everything I do in my life, and I'm actually just looking at people around me, where have I been remiss? And this has been it. And so, yeah, I mean, because as a white woman, I have had this beautiful journey, and not that it's not been without challenge. That's not the point of the conversation around privilege. But I have had privilege to be able to stumble into spiritual channels, crystals, or essential oils, or a different, communing with the earth or communing with my ancestors, and I just get to stumble into those things and begin to access them. But for how many thousands of years have there been groups of peoples who have died holding on to this information so that I could come across it and stumble right into it with ease? Like, so that has felt really important for us, and it's been a big shift. Like, I'm building community, I'm still learning about how to create inclusive spaces, and I feel like a toddler, and I'm stumbling and tripping, but we're doing it.
Are doing it. And I just also want to center too, a lot of those practices were whitewashed out by colonizers. When you come into these spaces, people of global majority were put to death because they would not give up their traditional practices.
Exactly.
And even within, my own tradition, within the Black church, we still see echoes of African traditional religion still moving through the sanctuary and the service, where women wearing white and the call and response and the percussive drum, we can hear it all, or saying things like, Big Mama is smiling down on us, understanding, knowing that death was not the end. Death is never the end. It's just another plane of existence. And we get to commune with our ancestors on a daily basis by publishing the work that we do. We have sacred scribes in our lineages, the wisdom keepers, the griots, the storytellers.
Yeah.
You and I are engaging in very ancient work. This isn't new. This
Exactly.
has been the role, as you say, priestess. One of my favorite priestesses is shout out to Nina Simone, considered the high priestess of soul. And I think any person on the timeline here who understands the depth and the work of Nina Simone, that is depth. She is definitely a I would say, expression of when you really tap into your gift, it becomes transcendent. And her music,
Mhm.
to this day, I believe transcends space, time, race, religion, creed, orientation. The priestess pierces the veil and is a truth teller. So
Mhm.
much so, our beloved sister was exiled to Europe. She, couldn't she collapsed under the weight of persecution, of the oppression that exists here in the United States. And so I don't want to belabor it, but I just want to bring it back to your work and what you're doing in deconstructing how the colonizer had lived within you. And then now
Mhm.
the medicine that you're now offering under the realization to, okay, I'm going to create a space where other voices can join in the mission. I'm going to create a space where I'm going to amplify BIPOC voices, those who are at the margins. And so, if you can just dive deeper into how people who have a story, because I love even the premise of becoming modern day healers, minding our own medicine. If there is a woman under the sound of our voices that says, you know what, I've been through a lot of things in my life and I'm still here. And I feel like I have a story worth telling. How would they get in touch with you about being part of this anthology?
I'm super approachable. Like, reach out to me via whatever social media channel we're on. The only place I'm not is Instagram, but you can come over to www.melisakeenan.com or www.heartopenpublishingenterprise.com. Both of those take you to the same place.
Mhm.
And I would love to help excavate, what it is that you feel needs to come forward. And it's really beautiful, the company that we run, because we've got lots of support to, as you go through the writing process, to help excavate the story, help polish the story so it makes sense and it's clear and it's beautiful and it's like it's something that people can digest. And then we also help support around, like, how do we then leverage this book? How do we utilize it out in the world? And
Mm,
what opportunities are we hoping that this book will be the key and unlock the doors to those things? Because all of that's important. I think that's kind of the message, right? Is it's one thing to sit and get to meditate and do our work on our own behind closed doors, but it's just as sacred to put a mic in your hand and
mhm.
get it out there.
Get it out there. And I wanna also center something too, um, breaking up with perfection. What you're sharing is an opportunity for people to share the messy part,
Yep.
the valley part, the shadow part, because I think in our modern day world, right, everyone puts their reels up and we see the highlights. We see,
Yep.
the vacation in Tulum and the luxury vehicle and, the house and, what is it? Wheels up, popular expression, right? For people who are traveling, but we don't see the lower moments. We don't see the alchemy part, the processing part, the
Mhm.
funky parts. So if you could share more about maybe process over perfection and what you intend with this anthology.
Yeah, people will say, "Well, I haven't like fully arrived." And it's like, "What does that mean?" There is no such thing. And I think, what I'm learning is that that is still in this conversation, like white supremacy created hierarchy, and how do we create communities among women where, we know like sister wounds and witch wounds and all of these things are very real. We want to transcend that. And so it's my intention that even in this space, that the women who are in this book have the opportunity to like collaborate and work with each other. So okay, I just lost track of my thought. What was your original question?
Yeah, the pain and purpose and
Yes, yes.
being in the shadowy, messy part.
Yes. That is the magic. If you've done any study around liminal spaces, the space right between things, that's the space where it's the most uncomfortable. It's like our cocoon space, but that is where our magic is. And it's in the liminal spaces where, we imagine fairies live, or where where we see these transitions like Twilight and things like.
Mhm.
But we don't think in the middle of our divorce that that is the place where the fairies are. It's like, no, it
So,
is.
woo, that part, and it's so funny that you talk about that because I was sharing with someone that recently I had an opportunity to host I call it a sanctuary lounge, serenity lounge, aka a wellness room at a large women's conference. And I said I felt like my room was like a pocket universe or 9 3/4. Like there was just this place where you could run in a parallel, universe where and I just wanted to name that sometimes you have to create the pocket universe. Like you just have to slow life down, a bit. You have to create the journaling, the time to journal, right? Even if it's you see some white space on your calendar, maybe even just take it for yourself. Like just consecrate that time and say, you know what, this is uninterrupted time. I won't take phone calls, even if it's like 5 to 10 minutes to
Yep.
write, because I'm putting myself, in the love seat and saying, I have a book of poetry that is 10 years old. Stopped and started, stopped and started, stopped and
Yep.
started. And not that I've given up, but life comes in,
Yep.
and as you and I shared in the green room, you have to move at the pace of capacity.
Yep.
And moving at the pace of capacity just means just that. You have to move at the pace of what you have bandwidth for. But it sounds like you have created an opportunity here for people to even look back at their own process. So if you could share with people the submission process of what you're looking for specifically, maybe
Yep.
length, um, investment, because you also have some scholarships available for this. So we have to
Yep.
name that there is a fee for entry. However, to really help people understand when you're putting out I don't even want to call it a project. It's more than that. It is like a child, like you're birthing something really big. It requires infrastructure and
Yep.
there's a cost associated with it. And anyone who has put out an anthology, any kind of group work knows it really is a labor of love. Like there's really no price tag that can put on
Yeah.
you can really put on what it's costing, but that's not why you're doing it. It's a summoning, it's a calling. So if
Yeah.
you could share with people some of the processes uh, to be part of this anthology, because I'm thinking of a friend right now, I want to text, who did an amazing one woman show around.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she did a one woman show. So shout out to Frankie Palazzolo. She did an amazing one woman show with singing. So she had a singing narrator that kind of wove interludes in between
Wow.
her poetry. So she did poetry and prose and narration and wove music into it. And it was so aptly titled Flowers Don't Chase Bees. And so she penned her own rebirth, if you will.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. I love that. Yes. So to speak to the process, we invite people to choose your package size. There's two different options. So we're looking at a singular chapter. So there's not cross writing or anything like that. That makes it too complicated. We just want to hear your story. And so we give you that real estate in the book to share your story. And so it's 3,000 or 4,000 words. And then you also are asked to share your headshot, your bio, and several links where people can find you. So that as we leverage the, communities of all of the different authors, they have the opportunity to like read your story and then be like, oh, I want to follow this person, or I want to know more about their work, or I want to, get into their email list and that sort of thing. So we help support you through that. And like I mentioned, we have a full staff. So we have editors, we've got formatters, graphic design, all of the pieces. And then we take the royalties from this book and pour them back into an Amazon ads campaign for the book itself, to support it, to again, reach a broader audience. And then we do a lot of teaching through the process as well, on the marketing side, about how do you leverage a book like this, and what do you do, and what would a 12-month marketing plan look like after the book has launched. And I'm really big on, anybody can shove a bunch of marketing tools at you. I'm big on how do we access the path that feels the most light and joyful to you, that you can continue to do for 12 months and still find joy in it, so that at the end of that, year after your book has launched, you can look back and be like, I'm so glad I did that. Like, look at all of the dominoes that fell because I said yes to myself in that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I love this. So if you have enjoyed this conversation, please share it with a friend. Please share it with someone that you know has an incredible story. And I want to level set when I say the word incredible, because you may think like, oh, my story is not important, or I don't know if my story is incredible. My mother, God rest her soul, said this. I was in the middle of penning my poetry book. And I was like, Mommy, I don't know if this is any good. And so she asked me 3 questions. She was like, is there sex in there? And I was like, yeah, some references to it, yeah. Um, she said, is there any violence in there? And I was like, maybe some self-violence. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. And it was like one more thing she said. I cannot remember, but it was like 3 things she said that make a good book. And I said, I had all 3. And she was like, then you have a bestseller. So um, if you're thinking, I don't know if I have a story in your life, if you have any modicum of sex, um, if you have a moment or moments where you knew you were in the valley, and you knew you were in the valley and got out, or if you're in the valley and you know that your valley is a process,
Mhm.
it's an
Mhm.
oil press, shaken up and pressed down. I had to go, I got to go there. It's shaken up and pressed down for a greater purpose, then you definitely are a great candidate for this book.
Yeah, and because it's so short, you don't have to have previous writing experience. Like we really help support you through all of that, that part of it. What I always say What I would say that makes a truly good story is if you feel something while you're writing it. If
Mm,
you feel something while you're writing it, then the reader is going to feel something while they're reading it. That's what makes a good story. And that's how you know that, like, even do I have healing codes in my story? Yes, you do. And they are transmitted through that emotion. That's how it's transmitted.
absolutely. So I would encourage anyone who is listening to this, whether you're catching it in the replay or you're catching it now in real time, do yourself a favor this weekend and just write out the story, write out your story. And if you don't know how to format it, like, well, where do I start? Do I start at my birth? Or, where do I go? I would always say reverse engineer and start with the end of mind. What did you learn? Start with
Mhm.
medicine. Out of this experience, I learned this, this, and this. I was a teacher by trade, so I'll give you the same format that I used for a lesson plan. What do I want people to get out of it? So what did I want my students to get out of this lesson? I would do maybe like 3 to 5 bullet points. Out of this lesson, students will get out of, boom, boom, boom. Create your rubric. How do you know? How are you measuring that they got boom, boom, boom out of it? And that is true of life. This is true of a business offering. What do you want them to get out of it? And how do you know they got X, Y, and Z out of it? Like, what are your metrics to know that they got whatever it is out of it? Use that.
That.
Yep. So that was free. Use it.
We also have, if you come to our website, we have a free story code activation workbook,
Yes.
which allows you to, like, really excavate. And so that's really for if you're at the beginning and you're going, like, I'm not really sure what stories are valuable, or, and you're in that kind of alchemy with it. It's like a full on, journal. It's got, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 pages of looking into your past, looking at the parts that you wanted to hide, looking at the parts that you're super proud of, looking into your future, looking into your dreams. And it's got bee symbolism all over it. So you can come check that out. And that's free. It's just a free download and brings you into our email community as well.
Yes, I love this. So I cannot thank you enough, Melissa, for pouring back into Culture Shifters Unite, which, helps to one, yes, produce our podcast, to, help our produce our television show, but also for people who are watching this, it also invests in our coffee table book. And the coffee table book is highlighting over 30 uh, activists, nonprofit leaders, healers, communers, disruptors who have utilized not just their career pathway, but just really their lives and dedication to service and social justice, equity, and inclusion, and also uh, support a business directory. So Melissa's investment is going to go to a business owner of color, a BIPOC woman, femme of color, to give them a full page ad inside the coffee table book. So we are working to be living, breathing prayers and invocations, and to create equity and reparations where in the way that we can, where we can. And so the support of all of our sponsors, yes, again, also pours back into an ecosystem, whether it's the talk show, the coffee table book, the podcast, but also helps us to support Give Them Their Flowers, which is a segment on the talk show where we honor local heroes who are doing the work in our communities, and a soulful moment where we can take a breath on the podcast. So, again, this is an ecosystem, and Melissa is one beautiful star in this constellation that I'm endeavoring in, and I hope that you will too. So, Melissa, thank you so much for being here today. The conversation was so rich. I love the work that you're doing and the ways in which you are helping to um, demonstrate what healing looks like in real time, but also having that bravery to just start where you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ber-Henda. It's so great to connect with you further. And I'm just a huge fan of what it is that you're up to and how you are elevating people's voices. So thanks for letting me be a part of this.
Absolutely. And we'll be in touch soon. So again, if you're catching this on the replay, share this with someone that you know has an incredible story to share. And as I identify what incredible means, it means something that is transformative, whether it is for you, but I can guarantee if it transformed your lives, what you went through, it will transfer the life of someone else. So thank you so much again, Melisa, for being here with us. And I will catch you all next time. Bye for now.